I was just checking a setting in another computer to see if I knew what the heck I was doing for the show tonight. We got the cruise that's going to be taking place, and the sock hop is, I think, what we're calling it, with Sean Small. So we look forward to that. I think I've got the computer program for that, Kirk. It's anytime we do anything different out of the normal routine of things, we always forget something.
I understand.
So, well, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine.
Very good. Our condolences to you and your family for the passing of your father, Lowell Irby. And
Thank you.
I know preparations are being made for today's service. So
Yes, and the town has been wonderful. We've gotten all kinds of cards and people dropping by and just talking about a lot of history type stuff. So, but our teacher's been wonderful about that.
yeah, they really have. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be there later this morning.
We feel pretty confident that there's going to be a lot of people that show up. It's one of the reasons we decided to have it at the auditorium. Also, it just seemed right with the amount of time that he put in on the school system that we have it there. We kind of felt like our church was not going to hold the people, and this was just the next best alternative. And even if we didn't have that many people show up, it still felt like an appropriate venue for his services.
Absolutely. So 10 o'clock today, and we encourage everyone to come out that has ever heard the name, maybe sung the jingle, and or knew Lowell because of his work with the school board. When he ran for re-election, I think we were trying to figure out how many years he'd been on serving as a school board member, and it was well over 40 years.
And I believe he served 44.
44 years. So quite an accomplishment. The board room is
Yes.
named in his honor, and so it'll be very interesting to see how many folks. I'm sure, like you said, you've heard from a lot of folks all over the state, I'm sure.
We have. So it's kind of hard to remember where all the different cards have come from. I'd say, of course, the bulk of them are from Artesia, but we've gotten some from other places, especially Weatherford, Oklahoma, which is where he went to school, and me. So we've heard from some people that he knew up there in that area, and especially from the school, because he stayed pretty active with their alumni association after he had gotten out of school. So he's kept that connection.
That's great. Of course, he moved to Artesia with his family, Bayless Irby.
Yes.
And Bayless had a pharmacy.
He did. It was Irby Drug that was in the Carper building, and had lots of stories of the Yates brothers, the original 4 Yates brothers. They had an office upstairs, but they would come down to my grandfather's pharmacy and sit at the fountain that they used to have there, and they would conduct oil deals with other people. And I've even heard of them coming up with just kind of like offhand contracts that were written on napkins right there. So
yeah, I tried that one time. Do a contract on a napkin, and had it formalized by a lawyer, and the guy disappeared. I guess he wasn't serious. That was kind of disappointing. But at the end of the day, we still wound up with what it was that I was trying to get at the time that we did the deal on the napkin. But it would have been a whole lot easier if he would have just not disappeared.
Yes.
And we go, there's stories about that. Yeah, stories about the old Hotel Artesia.
Yes.
Which was just on the other side of the. I think it was just on the other side of the railroad tracks. Or no, was it on this side of the railroad?
It was on this side of the railroad tracks. There where the that Brewer convenience store is.
Okay, that's where the.
And I remember going into some meetings with my dad, like Lions Club, and a couple of different things like that were in that building somewhere. I don't remember that much about it, other than that's where the building was, and other than that, I don't even remember what the inside looked like.
Right. Yeah. Well, it was long gone by the time I moved to Artesia, and I think there was not a convenience store, but there was a fueling, little kiosk with some pumps there when I moved to town. So my only knowledge and visuals of the Hotel Artesia are the various pictures that you've seen. Like I think it's depicted on the mural in the walkway, and there's some other pictures. And then the movie The Man Who Fell to Earth.
Okay, yes.
Which there were a few scenes that were filmed in that hotel. So let's see. Lowell was also a longtime member of the First United Methodist Church.
Yes, he has, and he's served on a couple of different committees for that church. Also, finance is the one that comes to mind, but I think he's done one or two other things, but has stayed active with that, and was even in, he got admitted to the hospital on Monday, but that Sunday before his passing, he was there in church, and our pastor, Monty, even commented the next week that it just didn't seem right, or that he wasn't going to be there anymore. So because he was always there and pretty much in the same spot. So
yeah. Well, and you probably have lots of memories being drugged to church by mom and dad.
I do, and I appreciate that after I got older, and I've stayed going there, and but yes, we've got lots of memories from there.
Yeah. Well, we encourage folks to come out and attend the service, and it'll be at 10 o'clock today at the high school auditorium. So, and then if you can't make it, if you're not going to be able to make it, we've got it set up to where it'll go to the church Facebook page and our Facebook page, so people can watch it online if they're not going to be able to attend. So.
Yes, and we appreciate that. And there's been some people that we've heard from that have appreciated that fact too. There's some people back from Weatherford, Oklahoma, that at the college that intend to watch, and there's just a couple of different family members that were not able to come in that are intending to watch it, and I believe there's probably some other people too.
Yeah, so we're happy to help out with all that. Before we run completely into the news, we didn't have a chance to really talk much before the segment. So let me ask you this: is the pandemic over, as far as the COVID pandemic is concerned?
I would like to say yes, but all indications is that there's still some lingering signs and effects out there that have precluded the powers that be from determining that it is over. And there are still some infections that are out there, and I know the rate has been much less than what it has been, but it's to me, I would say let's just declare it over and go forward with normal lives. But there's still a fairly high rate out there. Mm-hmm. The serious cases have really dropped off. but the ones that are still having people even sometimes occasionally get admitted to the hospital are still a little bit high for what I think the officials are comfortable with.
Okay. And there's been a couple of, Omicron variant seems to have been the variant that moved us to being less deadly and less serious. Yes. But there's been a couple of variants of the Omicron variant that seems to be dominating things, I think, in England and parts of Europe. I think even in China.
Yes, I've heard of one of their provinces, or it may have just been a large city, where had a variant of Omicron break out, and they went to a strict lockdown. And one of their larger cities that had some of the manufacturing processes that China was doing. So there's been a couple of different cell phone companies and all other electronic companies that have had to, again, postpone their production timeline.
Mm-hmm. Great. It's just what we need is more supply chain or other disruptions in all of that. With each one of these variants, like the current one that's kind of sweeping across, do they seem to be more contagious but less serious in terms of their effect on how they affect people's health?
It really does. The one out of China, there's not a lot of good information because of the type of government that they have, but it does seem like, from what little I've been able to read, that it might have gotten a little bit more serious than the other Omicron variants, kind of going backwards. But it still is not as anywhere near as serious as the previous variants. It still is contagious, but the seriousness of the effect on the health is still not too bad.
Not too bad. It is interesting how China is still conducting the lockdown policy.
Yes.
Whereas most of the West has the governments have learned that their ability to lock the population down, that they've lost that widespread ability to do that. I don't think the people would go along with it today.
I don't think they would either.
Yeah. And even if they get somebody other than Dr. Fauci to tell us to do that, because right now, if Dr. Fauci says it, I think 80% of the population is just going to go.
Yeah.
So, all right. Can you stick around for a second?
Sure.
All right. We're going to take a break and be back with more on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. On the other side of the news, we're talking with pharmacist Kirk Irby from Lowell's Pharmacy, and we'll be back